The gym was unusually quiet that afternoon, with only the rhythmic sounds of weights clanking and the occasional buzz from a phone notification breaking the silence. Jungkook, fresh out of his mandatory military service since June 2025, was back in his routine, pushing limits with each rep, sweat soaking through his black tank top. His tattoos peeked out more clearly now, especially the chest ink that seemed bolder than ever. His build had changed dramatically, no longer just lean, but powerfully defined. He looked more like an athlete preparing for competition than a pop star returning from service. Jin stood at the edge of the room, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the younger man as he moved through his set. It wasn't the first time he'd seen Jungkook train, but something about this moment felt different. Maybe it was the sheer intensity in Jungkook's eyes, or the way every movement was calculated, silent, almost surgical in its focus. Jungkook noticed Jin after finishing his last set and took off his beanie, wiping sweat from his brow. He grabbed a towel, then his coffee cup from the bench beside him. "Hyung," he said simply, voice still breathless. Jin walked over, a strange tension hanging between them. He hadn't said anything yet, not a compliment, not a greeting, just silence. His eyes scanned Jungkook's arms, shoulders, and chest before finally settling on his face. "You've changed," Jin said, the words almost slipping out like a confession. Jungkook gave a small nod. "I had to." There was a pause. Jin looked down, almost as if weighing what to say next. "You didn't have to go this far," he added lower now. "You don't need to prove anything to anyone." Jungkook didn't flinch. He looked directly at Jin. "It's not about them anymore." That sentence hung heavy in the air. Jin's face shifted, not in confusion, but in quiet understanding. He nodded slowly, hands still in his pockets. "When I left for service, I thought I'd come back and everything would be the same," Jin said, his voice rough. "But I was wrong. You were gone and I was still running. And when I stopped, I didn't like what I saw." The room fell silent again, not out of discomfort, but from something deeper. Shared history, a quiet respect, and an unspoken pain. Jin stepped closer and placed a hand on Jungkook's shoulder. Not a dramatic gesture, just firm and intentional. "You're stronger now," he said, "but not just here." He motioned towards Jungkook's arms. "It's in your eyes too." Jungkook looked away for a moment, inhaled, and then gave a small tired smile. "I trained because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know how to feel normal again." "And do you feel normal now?" Jin asked gently. "No," Jungkook said, "but I feel real." They stood there, surrounded by dumbbells and mirrors, two men who had grown up in the spotlight now trying to reconnect without the cameras. Jin finally exhaled, as if he had been holding something in. "You scared me a bit, you know." "Why?" Jungkook asked. "Because I thought I'd lost the kid I used to know. But I didn't. You just became the man you needed to be." Jungkook didn't reply immediately. He took another sip of his coffee, now lukewarm, and glanced around the room. "I'm still figuring it out." "Same," Jin replied, with a quiet chuckle. "Same here." No dramatic exit, no loud revelation. Just two people reconnecting in the silence between sets, both carrying more than just physical weight. What was said that day never made it into captions or live streams, but those close enough to witness it said that Jin's expression when he left the gym told the whole story. He walked out quieter than he came in, eyes slightly red, and his hand clenched around his phone as if holding back a message he wasn't ready to send. Later that evening, he didn't post anything. No gym selfies, no jokes, no cryptic hashtags. For someone who was usually playful online, even in his quiet moments, that silence was telling. Fans noticed. Army began speculating almost immediately, not because of any big clue, but because of what was missing. No shoulder hangs comeback gym tour, no teasing caption aimed at Jungkook, just nothing. But Jungkook did post. It was a single black and white photo of the gym floor, cropped tight around a towel, a water bottle, and the edge of a weight plate. The caption simply read, "Some things can't be undone, but we grow anyway." That post spread like wildfire. Fans dissected every word, every shadow in the photo. Some thought it was about his body transformation. Others believed it had deeper meaning, connected to the military, to grief, to loss. A few began speculating that something unspoken had happened between Jin and Jungkook, a history they'd never shared publicly.
Behind closed doors, the truth was quieter. Jin hadn't expected to feel what he did in that gym, seeing Jungkook like that, not just fit, but hardened, had stirred something he couldn't name. Pride, yes, but also guilt. He'd been the eldest for so long, the protector, the anchor. Now, Jungkook had become something else, someone else. And Jin hadn't been there to see that shift happen. Back at the dorm that night, Jin stood outside Jungkook's door for a long time, before knocking. When the door opened, Jungkook was in a hoodie, his tattoos hidden again, hair still damp from a shower. He didn't look surprised to see Jin. "You want to talk?" Jungkook asked, voice low. "Yeah, but I don't know how to start." Jungkook stepped aside. "You don't have to, just sit." They sat in silence for a while. No music, no distractions. Just the ticking of the clock on the wall and the sound of traffic faintly drifting in through the window. "You looked different today, like you've been carrying something." "I have," Jungkook admitted, "but it's not just mine." Jin turned to him. "What do you mean?" Jungkook hesitated, then leaned back against the wall. "When you were gone, people looked to me like I had answers about the group, about the future. I didn't, but I couldn't say that. So I trained. I pushed myself. Not just my body, everything." Jin nodded slowly. "And you never told anyone?" "No one asked. Not really." Jin looked away, biting the inside of his cheek. "I should have called more." "You had your own war to fight, and I don't blame you. But today, when you looked at me, I could tell. You didn't recognize me." "I recognized you. I think I realized how much I missed watching you grow, and now I don't know where I fit in." The confession lingered in the room like smoke. "You still do," Jungkook said quietly. "But I'm not the kid you used to scold for staying up all night anymore." "I know, and maybe that's what hurts." They sat together in that small room, two versions of the past and present colliding, trying to understand the distance that had grown silently while the world watched them smile on stage. There was no script to follow here, no tour, no cameras, just the weight of time and the bond that refused to break no matter how much life changed them. Eventually, Jin stood up to leave. He paused at the door. "I'm proud of you, Jungkook," he said, not turning around. Jungkook's voice was steady. "I know, but thank you for saying it." Jin nodded once, then stepped into the hallway and closed the door gently behind him. For the first time in a long time, Jungkook sat in that silence and didn't feel alone. The next morning, Jungkook returned to the gym before sunrise. The space was empty, still carrying the faint smell of rubber mats and metal. He moved through his routine with precision, but slower than usual. Not because he was tired, his body could take it, but because his mind was somewhere else. Every movement brought back fragments of the night before. Jin's voice, the silence between them, the sentence that stayed with him. "I think I realized how much I missed watching you grow." Jungkook had always admired Jin, not in the way the public might assume, not as a fan admires a star, but as a younger brother watches an older sibling who held the group together during storms no one else could see. Jin had been the quiet strength, the humor in chaos, the one who knew when to stay silent and when to speak. And now, for the first time, it felt like the roles had shifted. Jin was looking at him not just as a dongsang, but as someone he couldn't protect anymore, and maybe didn't need to. Halfway through his second set, Jungkook stopped. He stood in front of the mirror, muscles tense, chest heaving, sweat beginning to pool along his jaw. He looked at his reflection not with pride, not with arrogance, but with scrutiny. He saw the strength, the ink, the transformation, but also the cost. The hours alone, the silence he'd mistaken for strength, the discipline that had masked pain. He stared at himself until his breathing slowed and the tremor in his hand subsided. Later that day, Jin posted a photo of the gym's exterior. The door closed. The caption was brief. "We all grow, some in ways we never expected. #JKStrong." He didn't tag Jungkook. He didn't need to. ARMY instantly connected the dots. The comment section was flooded with messages. "Young energy is real. Jin watching Jungkook evolve hits different. What happened between them yesterday? Why does this feel so emotional?" That post trended for hours. Jungkook saw it while drinking his second coffee of the day. He stared at the photo for a long time before typing a response, then deleting it, then typing again. He didn't end up posting anything. Instead, he sent a private message to Jin. 3 words, nothing more. "Thanks for coming." Jin replied 5 minutes later, "I'll always show up, even when you don't ask." For all the years they'd spent under the same roof, rehearsing the same songs, sharing stages and memories, this was something new. An acknowledgement that they'd both changed, that growing didn't mean growing apart, that silence could hold as much meaning as any hug or farewell. In the weeks that followed, fans noticed that Jin started appearing more frequently in Jungkook's routine, not just in photos, but in fleeting glances, off-camera moments, passing comments and live streams. No dramatic declarations, just presence. One day, a fan captured a blurry video of Jungkook and Jin leaving a gym together at night. No bodyguards, no assistants, just the two of them walking side by side. Jungkook with his hoodie up, Jin laughing at something the younger said. The clip went viral, not because of what was seen, but because of what was felt. The calm between them, the quiet bond, healed and visible again. In a later interview, when asked about his current workout routine, Jungkook paused, smiled faintly, and said, "I train for balance now, not just muscle." The interviewer asked what changed. Jungkook shrugged, "Someone reminded me that strength isn't always about pushing yourself harder. Sometimes it's about knowing when to let someone in." He didn't name Jin. He didn't have to.